Today, I'm officially a software engineer. Well, only if you ignore important things like training or any kind of reputable credentials. See, what happened was I needed a specific app for a project I'm working on, and instead of going to look for it, I decided to teach myself how to use Python with the help of CHAT GPT and build the app myself. And it turned out pretty good, and since Fallout is a relatively popular piece of property, I figured I'd share it with people, and anyone who wants to use it can use it as well. In this video, I'm going to talk about why and how I made the app, as well as what I've learned along the way. But I'm going to start first with how it works, in case all that other stuff I just mentioned bores the crap out of you.
In today's chaotic post-atomic age, survival isn't just a luxury, it's a system requirement. That's why Vault-Tec presents the all-new PiPDASH system monitor, designed to keep your workstation humming, even when civilization isn't. Trust PiPDASH, because even in a bunker, blue screens are unacceptable.
Hello, me again, coming to you from the safety of my vault. Let's get right into it. How does PiPDASH work? Well, it is a self-contained app on your Windows PC. You just double-click to open it. You're presented with two options. You can either start or go to the help screen. The help screen is going to tell you everything I'm about to tell you, so we'll skip that for now. You hit start, and you're presented with your PiPDASH monitor. You have 3 gauges along the top, giving you CPU, GPU, and RAM usage. Now, obviously, my GPU usage is a bit high right now because I'm screen recording. Below that, we have 3 bars telling you how much storage you have left on your computer and how much you're using, splitting it up between all the drives you have available. Below that, you have a network activity plot. This is a constant plot showing you upload and download activity. The up spikes are upload, the down spikes are download. Below that is the event viewer ticker. This is showing all errors, warnings, and critical system logs from within your event viewer from the last 2 hours. If you have no errors, warnings, or critical messages, nothing will appear there. If you have an error or critical event within the last 60 minutes, the logo on the system as well as the text of the ticker is going to turn red to catch your attention and let you know something serious has recently happened. Now, let's say you see something in red and want to check it out. Where would you find that? You will go to your event viewer, Windows Logs, System. Here you will be able to investigate further. Now let's take a look how this stacks up against, for instance, your task manager on your computer. You'll notice the GPU calculations differ a little bit. Some of that is partially delay because PiPDASH gets that information a little later than your task manager. Some of it is also, it is calculating VRAM usage as well as overall utilization that we see calculated here, which is also primarily leaning on a combination of video encode here and 3D. And there you have it, folks. That is the PiPDASH system monitor. Very simple to use, very simple output. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to address them below in the comment section of this video. And if you want a copy for yourself, head on over to my GitHub, noobcity99. Grab yourself a copy. It's free, open source. Do whatever you want with it. It's packaged as an executable, no installation required. Just download and get right to it. Okay, that was fun. Moving on. Why? Why did I make this app here? I'm not even that big of a Fallout fan. I've played the game for a couple of hours, less than 50. I like the TV show. The second season's coming out, but I've just ended up making Fallout-related things lately. I did I skinned a laptop with a Fallout vinyl wrap and decal job. I ended up making a test bench and wrapped that in the same theme. Don't know why. And now the second season's coming out in December, and I thought well, why not? Just keep the ball rolling. So I found this case on Facebook Marketplace, and it's just right for being converted into some kind of Fallout themed project. So what I wanted to do was just customize a case. I'm not going to build a PC inside of it, just customize a case. And what would be great for this is a screen on the front, right behind this door here. See? That displayed system monitoring info. Well, I figured you'd have to get a Raspberry Pi, and that would have to be hooked up to the motherboard of whatever computer's in there, because I wanted it to operate independently. And I didn't think an app like that actually existed. And I was curious about learning Python anyway. I'd been chatting about this project with CHAT GPT, and it actually asked me outright, hey, do you want me to write you a Python script for this? It's like, you know what? Sure, let me learn all about that. So I went down that rabbit hole of learning Python and building it. It was not easy, simple, and I still do not know most of what I'm doing, but I'm faking it pretty well. So I'm discussing with ChatGPT, how is it going to work having a Raspberry Pi hooked up to whatever motherboard is eventually in that case. And at some point, which is like, you know what? Let's stop where we are. Let's build the app right here for PC, get it working, get all the features, and go from there. I don't even think I gave that green aesthetic prompt to it. It just knew we'd been talking about Fallout the whole time. And when it made the first iteration, that's what it came up with. So right out the gate, the very first prompt, this is what I got. That's supposed to be the logo. And there you go. The gauges don't even work. I haven't seen this in a couple weeks. I can't even read that one. I'd forgotten. So when I started this, it was going to display temperature information, but in my research, temps seemed to be hard to access depending on the APIs required to do that. And then the plot down here, I didn't give it any specifications. I just said, make a plot, and it did it from the bottom with these little spikes. I actually like the older version a little better, but there's a reason the newer version is the way it is. So I continued on from there with a version 2 that apparently is blank. Here we go, version 4. Same crappy logo. I believe that's called ASCII drawing or something. I have no idea. Oh, yes. When the CPU was having a bit of a stuttering problem there. Here we've already switched over to RAM usage, GPU load, and CPU load, and nothing is lining up together. Also, it wasn't properly routing the event viewer system logs to the ticker. Here we have the last version I made before transitioning to actual logos. I finally have it spaced properly. Everything's where it needs to be. And I've moved the plot line to the center. So uploads are upload, downloads are down spikes. So still the ticker's not working. Now, once I had a passable functioning version of the app that I'd gone back and forth with ChatGPT with, it was time to move on to the next big phase, which is this, moving it to GitHub. GitHub affords you a lot of different opportunities, advantages, not the least of which is using something else from OpenAI called Codex. Codex is sort of ChatGPT for coding, but it connects directly to your GitHub, all your different repositories, and is able to analyze the entire code base and answer your questions recommend patches and things like that. It's an extremely useful tool because it's all contained there in your GitHub. You don't have to explain too much. You give it a simple instruction. It will go and put the context of your instruction against your code base and look through it and find, oh, this is this and this is that, and come up with a solution or a change. And how it presents that is it shows you an explanation of what it's recommending for this patch. And then also here, it will show you specifically what lines of code are being added and what needs to be subtracted. You can then literally copy that, paste it over here in your code editor, and all the changes happen. It's wonderful. There's even an upgrade from that too, but I'll get into that some other time. Once I had it up on GitHub and was able to let Codex take a look at it, I was able to address some things that you might easily overlook, and I know I did. One was, how much was it taking to run this app? Notice here in the task manager, the Vault-Tec monitor right now, this is the early version of it, taking up 3% of my CPU. It's a 9500X CPU. It should not be taking up that much. By contrast, I do have the task manager open right now. So let's take a look at that. Is running 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2% of my CPU. The PiPDASH needs to match at least the task manager. It's not doing nearly as much as the task manager, so it shouldn't be using more CPU power than that. So I instructed Codex to scan my entire code base for opportunities for optimization. And it came back, made some suggestions, and I said, yes, do that. And we can see a summary here of the optimizations it proposed and the lines of code here that were added, and 26 others that, oh, here we go, were subtracted. And eventually we got the app down to a point where it wasn't drawing nearly as much CPU power. And here we can see the current version, version 1.3.1, is pulling only 0.2, 0.3% of my CPU, matching Task Manager almost identical. Now, along the way, there were a lot of bugs and wrinkles in the system to work out, things that, not being a coder, I never would have noticed until something went wrong. For instance, the GPU readout on the early version, this on the left here is one of the early versions. You can see here the data source is NVML. That's actually pulling from the back end of NVIDIA because I have an NVIDIA graphics card. I hadn't taken into account that other GPUs exist. So when somebody took a copy of this for testing and had an AMD integrated CPU, they had nothing there. And it was also giving me weird readings, like you see right now. NVML is reading 34%. The current version of PiPDASH here on the right is reading 79%. And let's go ahead and see what Task Manager says. And Task Manager is showing 50%, 60%, somewhere in between there. So it's calculated very different, and I had to do some research on how those calculations are being made and what would be a more accurate representation to have PiPDASH showing. And I ultimately landed on PDH, which is the method that Windows uses to pull data from Task Manager, but it's also combining some of these percentages together as well, especially right now while I'm screen recording. Now, I learned a lot along the way as well about how coding works. I tried to make it easy on myself by asking CHAT GPT to build in descriptors, as you see here, with these hashtag lines, giving lots of description about what these areas of the code are, so I know what I'm looking at as I scan through it. Something interesting I learned about how it places things on the screen when I wanted to get all this text realigned and legible is the placement is based on the radius of circular objects in this particular case. And it's not always going to be this way. Sometimes it's based on a placement in relationship to another object, up or down, left or right. In this particular case of this text here below these gauges, I had to adjust a value that was being calculated off the radius of this circle. It's interesting. Now, I did chronicle a lot of this process in a few live streams, as you can see right above me here, and some of my other learning how not to code sessions are on my channel as well. Just a couple hours of me fumbling around, learning how not to code. But the next step, once I had a stable working version of it, I packaged it into a executable standalone app, as you can see right here. No installation required, and put it up on GitHub as the version 1 release. And I try to add as much documentation and notes and details for people, and some people did download it. And like I said, I got reports back about various issues, and the most recent version seems to be pretty stable. No bugs noticeable yet. I also included a open source license. So hopefully your Windows won't scream at you if you try to use it. And hopefully no one comes screaming at me for even making this. Bethesda, call me. So what's next for the PiPDASH System Monitor app after this? Well, I do have plans for version 2 to expand its capabilities. Obviously, this version is still meant for the PC case project. Hopefully it'll end up on a screen right there in the near future. But until then, I'm going to keep working on version 2, and I have plans to integrate it into the system tray over there, down there at the bottom. That could be kind of cool, but I'm taking ideas. If you've got ideas for how to make this better, provide you more information about your system that would be useful to have at your fingertips, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Remember to adopt from your local shelter, and I'll see you in the next video.
In today's chaotic post-atomic age, survival isn't just a luxury, it's a system requirement. That's why Vault-Tec presents the all-new PiPDASH System Monitor, designed to keep your workstation humming, even when civilization isn't. Trust PiPDASH, because even in a bunker, blue screens are unacceptable.